Hello everybody, come on in. Tonight we will be doing an open mic with Mark Maldonado, the mayor candidate for Lancaster, California. Right now we're going to give him open mic and let him speak what he wants to speak. Sir, it's yours.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. I want to start off with something that's actually started to happen this week. There was some propaganda, some mailers that went out into the Lancaster public eye. It's a smear campaign, and it's about me supposedly doing some fraudulent things and not reporting my income correctly. And when I went ahead and decided to run for mayor and went into the city to pay my fees and whatnot, when we were there, we inquired what it was going to cost, and the cost to do the statement was $2,200, and then also to have that translated, they wanted another $2,200 just to translate English to Spanish. And I thought, man, that's an exorbitant amount of money. Knowing that in other cities, especially next door, I think it's 32 other cities, it's 10% less. 10%, it's at 10% of the total cost, less. And I've got some notes here. The reason why I have notes is that I want to be precise in what I talk about here because I feel it's important. So the smear campaign was about lies, fraud, and cheat. But behind each one of those words, there was a question mark, and that tells me that there's no proof to that. And there was supposedly an investigation. What an investigation! So this is coming to me via the incumbent right now, Mr. Paris. But I feel that because he can't make an assertion without evidence, but one can pose in the form of a question without being accused of defamation. I applied for fee waiver, but did not lie about finances. That's why the waiver was denied. And they were talking about that I didn't report my income correctly. Well, I did. $4,400 is literally 10 times the fee for other nearby cities because Rex Harris made it that way. Did it, and I'm assuming that he did it to stop others from running for the mayor's position. So, you know, Rex is reporting a smear. He's resorting to smear tactics because the truth simply will not serve him, and I really feel that that's what it is. Now, on top of that, you know, for Rex, this is business as usual. I believe it's business as usual. When he can't win with superior ideas and an actual record of service to the community, he resorts to defamation. He wants so badly to retain his grip on Lancaster that he thinks nothing of attempting to ruin a good man's reputation, which is mine right now, and others. This is I'm sorry, guys. I don't like to go through this kind of stuff, but it's happened, and it really bothers me because I've been a very upstanding person in the community here, and you know, I don't think this kind of stuff should be happening in the campaign. I don't know why we can't just be men and let's see who the best guy wins. Just be honest, have a campaign that's respectable without having to go to smear tactics. I will not bow down to play this game. I will not do it. I've never been that way. But I also wanted to read something to you from the city, Lancaster's website. It was having to do with the resolution number 23 through 62, and it has to do with the campaign. of how you're gonna be, how you're gonna work a general municipal election. And so here's where I'm coming from here. The city has determined that it is more cost-effective to conduct their own standalone election and requires various services from the county in order to do so. And whereas all necessary expenses in performing these services shall be paid by the city of Lancaster. So for it to do this type of an election, which is a ballot, a mail-in ballot only, and the city has full control of how the ballots are gonna be counted, and it's coming from city employees, and on top of that, cost effective. How is it cost effective if you're gonna charge somebody $2,200 to put a statement out on the ballot? And then if you wanna have it translated into Spanish, how is it cost effective for that candidate to come up with another $2,200? Fortunately, I have income because I own a business and I work every day and I work hard. But there's some out there that might not be able to do that. So for this being a cost, to do things to be cost effective, why does it have to be that expensive for the candidate to want to run for a position as mayor in Lancaster? That's the question, and I ask, why is that? Why is that? So one of the other things that I wanted to talk about here was I want to get into the crime of Lancaster, because that's a major issue when I'm out talking to the residents and I'm going into the businesses and I'm talking to everybody. Got a lot of people reaching out to me, and they're telling me that there's a major problem with our crime in Lancaster. And I got to tell you that Mr. Paris is downplaying the crime percentages here. He's saying that the crime has lowered. Well, I want to tell you, when it comes to misdemeanors, that's a low-level crime, but it is a misdemeanor, it is a crime. And when you have people that go into the stores and take out merchandise and they don't pay for it, that's a crime, and they walk out. They go in and they do a smash and grab and they're not caught, they're not arrested, that's a crime. And because of our district attorney helping to create this problem, it's hard to track the numbers when you can't arrest and charge these people. So you cannot put the correct number on crime when you can't even get the proper data on it, because it's not there, because people aren't being charged and not being arrested. But when we talk about the violent crimes in Lancaster, in 2023, starting January 1st to December 31st of 2023, our violent crimes were up 100, and I have the data here, and look, I've got to come with data. I'm not just going to throw foo-foo numbers at you, but I'll tell you what, in the Lancaster Station Sheriff's Department here in Lancaster, County of LA, the station total for criminal homicides, which is a major, horrific crime, was up 169.23%. And that was that's in Lancaster alone. Going into 2024, that was the number. So how can you say that our numbers have dropped significantly? And if it has, where's the data on that? Show us the data. Okay? So what I'm looking to do here is I'm wanting to get safety back in Lancaster. And how do we do that? How do we get safety back in Lancaster? Well, you know what? Lancaster's a charter city, and the mayor, because it's a charter city, can go ahead and create ordinances. And I know we have LA County Sheriff's Department contract out here, and there's no reason why we, especially now since we have a police force, but before that, what has our current mayor actually done to curtail this crime? What's he done? I know Palmdale did something 2 months ago. They were able to do something that I was talking about on my platform months and months and months ago, to having the city attorney here in Lancaster go ahead and be able to charge these people that are creating low-level crimes, which are considered misdemeanors, be able to charge them, get them arrested, charge them, and also fine them, and possibly even maybe hold them with some type of a bail, even though it's a misdemeanor. And then send them to LA County Courthouse and let them deal with it. Palmdale was able to do it, and they created an ordinance which was 1634. And they did that about 2 months ago. Now, our mayor's been in office for 16 years, and if he wins this election, that'll give him another 4 years, which gives him a 20-year run. So the question is, why is it that all of a sudden now in Lancaster we're starting to see that he's addressing the crime? Is it because it's an election year and we just started getting into elections? Why didn't he start really looking at the crime years ago? Okay? And I did hear him say in his open mic, and I've heard him say before on some of his other things that he's talked about, that the reason that he, the reason that he couldn't get this thing with the city attorney done here in Lancaster is because he was having a problem with the county, LA County, when he would call them, that they wouldn't return his phone calls and even emails, from what I understand. And then he turned around, that was in one setting. Then on the second setting that he had, he said it was because of the district attorney. So it's either got to be the county or the district attorney, which one is it? But talking to officials in Palmdale, and he also, Mr. Paris also said he had to get permission to do this with the city attorney and to create an ordinance. And in Palmdale, they didn't have to do that, from what I understand, from the city officials. So what is it? Okay. That's one of the things that I wanted to do when I was elected mayor, was create an ordinance that would allow our city attorney to be able to go ahead and charge and fine for misdemeanors, so we can start even getting data. And if for some reason we can't hold them, at least we have paper trail that they already have charges for a second offense. But these are the kind of things that will help our businesses right now. I really believe that that's something that will help our business, that will curtail these low-level misdemeanors, people just walking into the stores and taking whatever they want, not paying for them. That is a crime. One of the things I also want to do is I want to return We the People to the people. I want you to give everybody here in Lancaster a voice. I believe that they don't have a voice, especially when they go into our city council meetings. And by the way, I also want to bring this up. It's also been said, and this comes from the current incumbent, who's our mayor, that I never go to the city council meetings. Well, that's not true. That is not true. I have gone to city council meetings. I've also gone to city council meetings in Palmdale. And I don't live in Palmdale. But because I was with a chamber of commerce and we had constituents that lived in Palmdale and they were having issues with the city, there was times where I did go in to see what was happening and what was taking place in the city of Palmdale. Now, when I would go in to the city council meetings at Lancaster, I would witness how those sessions were being held and what was actually happening in that. And when you walk in and you have an issue and they give you 2 to 3 minutes to state your case or what your issues are, and you run out of time, the mic gets shut off and they're done. But what I've also witnessed too is where people would walk out there discouraged because they felt, and I noticed as well, that a lot of times you were wondering if they were even listening to their constituents, to the people that put them in office. Because they weren't really looking at those people while they were talking, or they just didn't feel it was probably, I don't know, important enough to even listen to. But those are the kind of things that I witnessed, and I said to myself, why would I even want to be here if they're not listening to my voice? And that's one of the things I want to do. I want to give their voice back. I want them to have pride in Lancaster. I want them to be able to feel that, hey, we put these elected officials in and they're going to listen to what I need to do, or what I want to do. Well, listen, also I've mentioned one of the things I will do is I will have regular town hall meetings. And what that does is it helps get around the Brown Act. And the Brown Act is there to help things in this type of a setting, in a city council meeting or a board of directors meeting or whatever. It will help you get through that time period in a very, very expedient way, a very professional manner, and to get through business quickly. With the town hall meetings, we won't have to deal with the Brown Act, which means that I want people to come in, ask me questions, let's have a conversation to your issues, let's get to let's figure out if we can get into some kind of a resolution, and if not, we continue it at a different date. But we have to make sure that, I want to make sure that our citizens, our residents here have a voice. They know what's going on, they know what's the city council's wanting to do, and giving them the vote to say yay or nay on whatever the city council is wanting to do. Sure, we put the city council in, we put the mayor in, but we got to remember that they work for us as the constituents, as the residents. We vote them in, they got to listen to us. When they don't listen, then that's an issue. That's an issue. So I'm dedicated to Lancaster. I've been here since 1963, and I've seen how things have evolved here. And I believe that our city's in a lot of trouble. When I say trouble, we have businesses that have closed. We have businesses that are struggling. We have a lot of different issues. And they're all on my platform, and I would really encourage everybody to go to my website and look at, go to markmaldonadoformayor.com, and you can look at everything that I'm wanting to do here in Lancaster. There's a survey. You can tell me your issues, and we will address them with you, even before the election. Charities in Lancaster. I've always given back to the charities. I've always, worked with organizations here that give back to the community. I was with BACA, Bikers Against Child Abuse, which protected kids that were being abused and helped them to not be afraid of the world that they lived in. We empowered those children to be able to say, yes, this person is the one that abused them. Also was with the Children's Center of the Antelope Valley for 4 years. And that had to do with the kids and their families. Helping them to understand each other so they could have a better family life. I've done a lot as a public servant here in Lancaster, California, and I never wanted to be a politician. And I still will not be a politician if I'm elected, because a public servant works for the community, works for the people. And I care about Lancaster. And I just want to let you know that I will not let you down. I will not let you down. So let's talk about the traffic flow here in Lancaster. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all these bike lanes that we have running up and down Lancaster Boulevard from 25th Street all the way down to 10th Street. And I look at all the congestion there. I look at the congestion on Avenue J. I look at it on 20th Street. I look at it on 15th Street West. I notice that there's bike lanes all the way on Challenger on the east side of town, and the lanes were cut down quite a bit. And that should be a major flow route for people that are going out to aerospace, to Plant 42, to Lockheed, to Northrop, and whatnot. but I see congestion there as well. I know we have a lot of work happening right now on the 14 freeway, and I'll tell you what, sometimes it takes me a half an hour to 45 minutes to go from Lancaster to Palmdale. Doesn't matter which way I'm going, because all the side streets are now congested. Plenty, I mean, we're talking lots of traffic. And the freeway's almost stopped, slow travel. But what doesn't help is when you get into town and you need to get from point A to point Z, and it now takes quite a bit longer to get from one place to the other because of the bike lanes. Well, what I've actually witnessed is cars that are leaving the legal lane and getting into the bike lane and driving through the bike lane to get to where they got to get to quicker. To me, that's a safety issue. And it also creates anxiety, frustration, and when people get frustrated, they start to tend to do things that they shouldn't be doing, which could be could put pedestrians in the line of getting hit, puts them in danger. We have a lot of fatalities, accidents going on in Lancaster right now, but it seems like nobody's looked at how can we resolve this issue here. And I think a simple sit down with your planning commissioner, the city planner, and figuring out how can we move these bike lanes into other areas without taking the joy of somebody wanting to ride their bike on the bike lane. How can we make this happen? How can we move these to a different area? And so why is it that this hasn't been looked at, knowing that you have a lot of accidents and fatalities happening in Lancaster? That's something that really needs to be taken a look at. And then of course now we have the homeless issue. You know, again, growing up here, I've noticed so many things that are going on with Lancaster and homeless encampments that I see out in the desert. I see tents right next door to neighborhoods. I see people sleeping and hanging out in front of a lot of the storefronts, which is causing a lot of issues there. You know, and it seems like everybody I talk to has issues with that, especially if they're a business. It's hurting their business. It's hurting their income that they're able to bring into their business. But yet, it seems like the homeless situation is getting worse. So one of the things I want to do with that is I really want to, when I'm elected, I want to go ahead and sit down with the mayor of LA, Mayor Bassett. I want to tell her, look, we're taking our city back. We're not going to be a dumping ground for the homeless anymore. We're not going to be a dumping ground for these people that get out of jail and they get a one-way ticket into Lancaster. Why is Lancaster, the city of Lancaster, or even Lake LA, which is a different city, but why are we the dumping grounds for LA? We're not going to take that anymore. We're going to create an ordinance that doesn't allow this. And that's something that should have been done already. And again, if you live in Lancaster and you're running this city, you're going to see all these issues. If you're not living in this city, then you become disconnected with things that are happening here. How can you not be disconnected if you live here? I see this every day because I live in Lancaster. You need a mayor that's in Lancaster full-time. Not part-time, but full-time. Part of the homeless problem too, and this is something I'm really, really dedicated to look at, is I plan on looking at the foster care system. The foster care, when these kids, these young kids age out of the foster system from the home that they're in, a lot of them don't even know where they're going to sleep. A lot of them don't even know how they're going to make money. I have a plan for that. I have a plan that will take these people that own the homes that are helping within the foster care system to take these kids in and give them a roof over their heads, but I wanna make sure that there's a program put together that says, while these kids are in your home as a foster child, they are required to get some education, some training, some guidance on a career path. They need to be treated like they belong in that home. Meaning that we want to make sure when you age out, you have income. You know where you're going to live. And there's a program that can be created and some guidelines for these people that take these kids in and get paid to have them in your home. To make sure that they go through a process, a required process that gets them from point A to point B when they age out and they're able to take care of themselves. That's something that we're going to look at, and we're going to make sure that we can wrap our heads around that and make sure that they're not walking into a homeless environment. Because I see too many young kids out there, and I've talked to a few of the kids that are homeless out there, and they came out of the foster care system, and that shouldn't be the way it is. Mental health's a huge problem right now within the homelessness out there. So I have a plan for that as well. And I'll tell you what, there's nonprofits out there that want to come into Lancaster and help. But they don't want to come in because they feel that they're going to be turned down and it's not going to happen. A lot of different scenarios out there that I've heard. But there are some nonprofits that I'd like to have come into Lancaster, City of Lancaster, and bring in some more mental health resources. We've got different tiers of homelessness. You've got the moms, the kids, you got the families that break up. So when the family breaks up, all of a sudden you've got a wife, or you got a mother there that's got kids, and they have nowhere to go because they have no income. So they become homeless. They get kicked out of the home that they're in, or they've got to find shelter somewhere. Well, that's a low risk homeless issue right there. These are people that are not on drugs. These are people that just fell into a bad situation. Then again, you've got the ones that have PTSD. All right, that's where the mental health comes in, resources come in, is to get them into a program and make sure that they can go through a rehabilitation system that will help get them into a better spot within themselves to be able to get back into society 100%. And then you've got the ones that are either addicted on drugs or they're addicted to alcohol. They will have to go through a rehabilitation process as well. But I think that if we can create an area in Lancaster that's away from the housing, but we can have them all come into one location, and we have these resources there for them, and they have to go through a required process of rehabilitation, that they have to graduate out of this rehabilitation process so they can be productive again in society. That's something that we need to look at. But we need to look at this right out the gate with empathy. These are human beings. They're not animals, they're human beings with issues that we have to look at them and find out why are they where they are at. Now, yes, you've got the ones that want to be homeless, and no matter what you offer them, they want to be homeless. Well, guess what? Those are the ones that don't have to be in Lancaster. We will give them the opportunity to choose how they want to overcome the homeless. And if they don't want to get on board with help and being able to become productive again within our city, and they just want to live in the desert, well, go live in the desert somewhere else. But we're not going to allow homelessness to just run rampant in Lancaster anymore. That is a major issue, and everybody's voicing their opinion on that. So again, I just want you guys to understand that I'm dedicated to Lancaster to make sure that everybody gets a voice and that we get some positive change here in Lancaster. And before I ask for your vote, I do want to say one thing again, and I want to go back to the smear campaign, because I'm not going to dispute the fact that I asked for the waiver. But I'll tell you why I asked for the waiver, and I think everybody has the right to know. When you have a cost that's that exorbitant, I'm very frugal with my money. I don't like to just throw my money away. And when they told me that, when I sat there with the city clerk, and I said, wow, that's pretty expensive. That's a lot of money just to be able to put your statement on a ballot. Common sense tells me that why is that? Why is our current mayor right now putting that in the system for the candidates that want to run have to pay that kind of money just to put a simple statement on the candidate's ballot? And if you want to have it translated, another $2,200, you gotta be kidding me. And that's exactly what I said to the city clerk. I said, you gotta be kidding me. I'm very transparent, and I'm gonna just say it the way it is. I asked her, why is this being done? Well, it's because that's what the mayor has put in place. All right. Well, let's try the waiver and see if it can be reduced somewhat. And if it can't be reduced, then okay, I'll pay the $2,200 for the English, but I don't need to do the Spanish. I think it's ridiculous. So if I gave them false information on my income, which I didn't, because that's what they're claiming, is that I lied about my income. Well, Jesus, if I would have lied about my income, I would have got the waiver for the whole thing. So I don't know what they're talking about, a lie on a waiver, but as soon as they contacted me and says, you don't qualify for the waiver because of your income, I went in and paid them the $2,200 and says, all right, have a good day. So again, I just wanted to make sure that you all understood where I was at when this all happened, and it was all about the fees being too high, and I thought it was wrong, especially when it's that way. And in 32 other cities, it's not, especially the one next door to where we're at. So, people have also said I haven't been campaigning. Well, if you go on my website, you can see all the meets and greets that I actually did. I think it's kind of funny that they'll say whatever they need to say to discredit somebody, but I'll tell you what, especially if you're a candidate who runs for mayor, that just tells me that somebody's scared, that I must be a threat to somebody winning the campaign. I'm telling you what, when we order 450 signs, yard signs, and we put those out in Lancaster, and over 300 signs come up missing, why is that? I'm asking you to tell me, why is that? When we order 50 banners and we start putting banners up and they start getting taken down as quickly as we can put them up, and I'm really the only candidate that this has happened to within the first 2 weeks right out the gate. Why is that? I'll let you make your own assumptions on that. But when we have to go out and buy another 200 signs, yard signs, and another 50 banners, and they continue to get stolen or taken, whichever you want to call it, why is that? I've been personally out putting these signs. I don't see any other candidate personally putting it on to themselves. But I work hard, and I'm very passionate about this city. Very passionate. I want the best for every one of you out there. I want your voices to be heard. This isn't about me. This is about you. Without you guys voting, we wouldn't be able to be put in positions of leadership. And the other thing that I just want to throw out there as well is when we go into the city of Lancaster, an advisor and myself, and one of my advisors, and we sit there with the city clerk, And I posed the question, so how are these ballots gonna be counted? And they tell us that, well, first of all, we put a list out for volunteers that will come in and count the ballots. And then if we don't get enough people, then we put an email out, or we put it out on the website, city website. We ask for people to volunteer, and then the ones that come in and put their names on the list, we choose them. We choose them next. And then where's the oversight on how these are being counted, and where's the oversight here? I asked him, can I have somebody from my campaign come in and watch what's happening here, just to make sure that there's no fraudulent things happening, like what they say, cheating. And they said, well, again, that's something that we're going to determine. Well, that's fine. So here recently, my advisor called down here and asked, hey, we haven't heard it or seen anything on how this is all working when the ballots come in. So we have people that have come in, we know people that have called us and said that they put their names on the list, and they haven't heard it. So what's happening with these volunteers that are gonna actually come in here and count these ballots? And where's the oversight coming from? Well, they says, well, no, we're not doing that. The city employees will be counting the ballots. Okay, the city employees will be counting those ballots. Well, to me, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody here, but how do we know that there isn't any funny business happening with these ballots being counted? And then when we ask them, well, how's the oversight going to be done? Well, you can come in and you can watch through a window how this is all happening. Well, okay, should I bring a set of binoculars in with me so I can really zoom in and see what's happening wherever they're at? We still, to this point, we still don't know how this is going to work. So I'm asking publicly that we all voice our opinions on getting some oversight that's not looking through a window. We still don't know how it's going to work, but can we get some answers on this, please? So I've got people asking me this as well. So I just want to let you know that I'm, again, dedicated to Lancaster and the residents. I won't let you down. And again, I'm asking for your vote. Please vote Mark Maldonado for mayor, and let's get some real change here, because I believe I am the one that can do this. And as far as the smear campaign, I'm not going to get in on the game and start throwing things out about another candidate. I won't throw things out on our incumbent. I've known this man for a long time. Even known him back from the Barrel Creek days, many years ago when I was 21 years old. But I'm not going to say anything negative because that's not me. It's not me. So, people that know me, I've already gotten a lot of calls on this smear campaign that started, and all they're doing is laughing and go, Mark, we got you. We know who you are. I've been in the community for a long time, doing a lot of work for anybody who's anybody here in Lancaster, and I've always been honest and fair about all my prices. Always given them more than what they asked for or what they paid for. When I got my contractor's license back in 1985, I never had, to the day that I actually kind of got rid of my business when I moved to Washington for a couple of years, not once did I have a bad mark on my license. So I'm proud to say that I must have always been doing something right. But again, all I've ever asked for is to have respect for the other candidates, have respect for everybody. I don't appreciate the fact that I was called MAGA Mark by a candidate. I don't appreciate the fact that somebody says I have never been to a city council meeting, especially if that person wasn't at the one that I was at, and I wasn't at the one that she was at. I don't appreciate that. I don't think it should have ever happened. All I'm asking for again is this, you know, let's be fair about this election moving forward. And, you know, if we're looking about bringing unity back into the community and getting rid of the division, let's start from the top. Let's start from our administration, okay? And let's play by the rules. Let's play by the rules, and let's be very transparent about everything that happens here within our administration. No, I've got people coming up to me and telling me that things happen here and they didn't even know about it. If they would have known about it, they would have loved to vote on it. Again, let's bring transparency back into Lancaster. Let's bring unity back into Lancaster. Let's get rid of the division, and let's get rid of the competition. Okay, there's plenty of work here for everybody. So again, I won't let you down, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Alrighty, everybody. Have a blessed day. God bless you all, and we'll talk to you all soon.